One of the penalties for refusing to participate in politics is that you end up being governed by your inferiors. We can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. The real tragedy of life is when men are afraid of the light. The measure of a man is what he does with power. Music is a moral law. It gives soul to the universe, wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, and charm and gaiety to life and to everything. People are like dirt. They can either nourish you and help you grow as a person, or they can stunt your growth and make you wilt and die. For a man to conquer himself is the first and noblest of all victories. Courage is knowing what not to fear. There are two things a person should never be angry at: what they can help and what they cannot. No one is a friend to his friend who does not love in return. Every heart sings a song, incomplete, until another heart whispers back. Those who wish to sing always find a song. At the touch of a lover, everyone becomes a poet. Life must be lived as play. The punishment which the wise suffer who refuse to take part in the government is to live under the government of worse men. Let parents bequeath to their children not riches, but the spirit of reverence. Music is the movement of sound to reach the soul for the education of its virtue. Knowledge without justice ought to be called cunning rather than wisdom. There is no harm in repeating a good thing. Opinion is the medium between knowledge and ignorance. A good decision is based on knowledge and not on numbers. All things will be produced in superior quantity and quality, and with greater ease, when each man works at a single occupation, in accordance with his natural gifts, and at the right moment, without meddling with anything else. At the touch of love, everyone becomes a poet. There are three classes of men: lovers of wisdom, lovers of honor, and lovers of gain. The most important part of education is proper training in the nursery. We are twice armed if we fight with faith. Justice in the life and conduct of the state is possible only as first it resides in the hearts and souls of the citizens. Democracy is a charming form of government, full of variety and disorder, and dispensing a sort of equality to equals and unequals alike. Death is not the worst that can happen to men. This city is what it is because our citizens are what they are. All the gold which is under or upon the earth is not enough to give in exchange for virtue. Honesty is for the most part less profitable than dishonesty. He who commits injustice is ever made more wretched than he who suffers it. Any man may easily do harm, but not every man can do good to another. Good people do not need laws to tell them to act responsibly, while bad people will find a way around the laws. Human behavior flows from three main sources: desire, emotion, and knowledge. There will be no end to the troubles of states, or of humanity itself, till philosophers become kings in this world, or till those we now call kings and rulers really and truly become philosophers, and political power and philosophy thus come into the same hands. The beginning is the most important part of the work. Wonder is the feeling of the philosopher, and philosophy begins in wonder. Ignorance, the root and stem of all evil. Astronomy compels the soul to look upwards and leads us from this world to another. When men speak ill of thee, live so as nobody may believe them. A hero is born among 100, a wise man is found among 1,000, but an accomplished one might not be found even among 100,000 men. And what, Socrates, is the food of the soul? Surely, I said, knowledge is the food of the soul. Ignorance of all things is an evil neither terrible nor excessive, nor yet the greatest of all, but great cleverness and much learning, if they be accompanied by a bad training, are a much greater misfortune. Rhetoric is the art of ruling the minds of men. As the builders say, the larger stones do not lie well without the lesser. If a man neglects education, he walks lame to the end of his life. Love is a serious mental disease. Dictatorship naturally arises out of democracy, and the most aggravated form of tyranny and slavery out of the most extreme liberty. The empty vessel makes the loudest sound. The first and greatest victory is to conquer yourself. To be conquered by yourself is of all things most shameful and vile. The greatest wealth is to live content with little. There must always remain something that is antagonistic to good. Thinking, the talking of the soul with itself. This and no other is the root from which a tyrant springs. When he first appears, he is a protector. Love is the joy of the good, the wonder of the wise, the amazement of the gods. Attention to health is life's greatest hindrance. The direction in which education starts a man will determine his future in life. It is right to give every man his due.